Let's spill the beans, chew the fat, food for thought, jokes on tap. Talking with our mouths full, having fun. A piece of cake and humble pie, serving up a slice of life. Leave the dressing on the side, it's naked lunch. Clothing optional.
For I never had a Sunday love. Flowers and champagne.
Phil,
Yeah, hi.
I've forced you to eat Jersey Mike's.
Yes.
And I think you've fallen in love with Jersey Mike's today.
I think that sandwich was excellent. Excellent.
And we're doing that in part because I am letting my Jersey roots show because it's sort of an emergency episode where we have gone full immersion for a day or so into the brand new Bruce Springsteen box set.
Breaking news.
Yes. Tracks to the lost albums. How overwhelming is it to have all this Bruce in your life?
All of a sudden, 7 unreleased Bruce Springsteen albums have been released upon us.
Yes. Now, most careers don't even include that much music. You know, many artists go an album, a few albums. Bruce has done
7
out of nowhere.
So we're going to talk about them today. Any initial thoughts that you have?
Yes, I am so overwhelmingly in love with this because the artist I love, these are like, as a kid, the two people I would go for bootleg albums. I'd go into the city and try to find bootlegs of Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
And now to have him, I'm not even breaking the law, and he's giving us all this music, and it's so much to explore. I think I'll be exploring it for the rest of the year. But in particular, there's an album called Twilight Hours, which is, in a weird way, almost a cousin connected to a record he did a few years ago called Western Stars, which was sort of him doing his Jimmy Webb, Glenn Campbell, sort of West Coast 70s rhinestone cowboy vibe. And now he's done this Twilight Hours, which is almost like a great lost Frank Sinatra sings Burt Bacharach kind of album.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I just love him trying out new genres. I mean, this is what you might want, something from the artist that you have admired for a long time, but the artist must be allowed to explore every avenue that they feel is worthy, that they want to explore. How does the artist know if he's going to score in a certain area if he doesn't explore that area? So I think what we're getting are 7 full-length experiments of him trying different genres of music.
Right. And at this stage of his life, think about what he's done in recent years, like the Broadway show, which you saw before me, but I thankfully did get to see live.
Well, anyone can see it now on Netflix. They did a beautiful job of capturing it on film.
And that took a lot of the better known songs of his life,
yes,
and sort of
contextualize
them in a new light and made them feel new again. Now he's taken this sort of era, because it's largely the 90s, although I think in 80s, mid 80s into the 90s.
Yeah.
And he's given us a new insight into all the music he had in his heart then. And there's some extraordinary music.
Isn't it astounding how prolific he is and has been, even when we weren't looking? He said he took the 90s where when his kids were little and he wanted to spend time with them. But look at, he was making 7 albums.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because they went to school.
Yes,
so he would have a few hours in the studio.
Right.
So today we're doing, it's not a full, regular episode, but we are going to
just
actually
wanted to talk about this and maybe play a couple.
Yes, we're going to play some of our favorite 30 seconds that we are legally entitled to do, I think. And then we're going to maybe hear from Rob Sheffield, the great critic at Rolling Stone, where I started out. And he's a great author, and he's written the review of the album in Rolling Stone. So we wanted to maybe see if he would check in and geek out about Bruce with us.
I can feel the poison running through my veins. I'm waiting on the end of the world. Follow that dream to find the love you need. Come on,
Rob.
Hey, how are ya?
Okay, I want to do an introduction. Rob Sheffield, please meet Phil Rosenthal.
Hi, Rob.
Phil, a legend. An honor to meet you.
Thank you,
Well,
Rob. It's my pleasure.
It's so funny. I just yesterday we got and this for when we're recording this, I got a link to the box set, which I have to say, listening to 7 albums on a link and trying to figure out what you're listening to and how to listen to it, especially for an old man like me.
And me.
It's been nuts. So I then read your review, which you have always been one of my favorite writers. Even though I'm older than you, I think I look up to you. But please, can you just share a little bit of what the experience was like of reviewing this Bruce Springsteen Tracks to the Lost Albums and having to write a review? I hope you had more time than we have had to process it.
Yeah, I've had a couple months with it. So
Wow.
I had time to process it and live with it and learn it and tell like which are the albums that really stand out as albums to me and that stand up over time. So it's a ton of music to explore in a short time.
Well, it's absolutely a crazy amount of music for a guy. It's like, it's a whole big career that we didn't have. And one thing that hit me only today was this is his 90s in large measure. And like the one thing he doesn't do is do a grunge record. Like none of the embarrassing, obvious things that like other people jump on bandwagons. He is going off in some wild directions.
Yeah, unless he's saving it, unless he was just, it wasn't quite ready for this box. He's saving it for Tracks 3. Okay, I admit I made a Pearl Jam album. Here it is.
That's right. Brendan O'Brien produced them both, so it could have happened.
But remember, we used to
Jeremy
wait.
meets Jungleland.
We used to wait years in between his albums, right? And it's overwhelming to get 7 albums dumped on you like this.
Especially if you were a Bruce fan in the 90s,
Yes.
which was a weird time to be a Bruce fan,
Right.
because you were waiting.
Because he
for
wasn't
him
with
to
the
come out.
band.
Yes. So here he's like, okay, here's my 90s. I'm releasing it in one shot.
7 albums.
Yep.
Some of it, I have to be honest, I've listened, I haven't heard everything, but I started the beginning. I'm trying to get through. And then I realized, okay, I think I get what this song is within the first, minute or so. And I don't finish it because this, to be honest, this sounds a little like a song I know, right? This sounds a little like, so I'm moving on. And then something pops up that's so like, oh, this is a hit. This could, if he released an album right now with this would be the single. Some of them are just these jewels in there. So it's worth it just for that. I think people are going to have so much fun going through and finding new favorites.
Definitely. It's so funny how different it was from Tracks 1,
Yes.
which was an album that probably like you guys, I'd waited years to hear those songs.
Right.
There were songs on that I'd been waiting half my life to hear. And so much of the songs have been rumored and legend. And,
Right.
you knew a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy who had a version on a bootleg somewhere. And this is so different because these are entire albums where he said, yeah, I recorded this. I could have released it. It could have been a #1 hit. It just didn't reach my finicky standards. And when you think that he was going years at a time without releasing any music at all, and that he had these albums in the can ready to go, it says something about what kind of lunatic he is. God bless.
I'll tell you something that he made me with this release realize something. Phil and I have been going to lunch for 25 years, talking about how great Bruce is at almost every one of those lunches. But I realized through this box set that we have different angles into our love of Bruce, which is like, my theory on you is
Yes.
you were so into the original impact that Bruce had on you as a rock and roll performer,
Right.
that is to a large extent, that's what you look for. The E Street Band magic, the greatest backing band,
The thing that gets you up on your chair dancing.
100%. And
Yeah.
I think I have a personality quirk, or I'm happy with it. But like once I love an artist, I don't want anything that sounds like they're reheating the souffle or attempting to reheat the souffle. I like to hear a different thing. And
This gives you that.
Well, and the real is like, I'm the guy who loved Western Stars beyond any measure. And I love, is it Twilight Hours? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Twilight Hours. I love, and I realized because the exact moment I was discovering Bruce Springsteen downstairs in my house, my dad was upstairs playing Sinatra. And what has happened is I've gotten old enough that I want Bruce to be my Sinatra, and he's done it. He's my Burt Bacharach and my Sinatra.
It is a Burt Bacharach album.
Oh, it's so Burt Bacharach. Yes. But it's not like, the only thing comparable I can think of is the Elvis Costello Burt Bacharach record, which I loved. It achieves some of those heights.
But I want to talk to you guys about something. There's a technical thing that is astounding to me. People don't talk about this enough. Obviously, he's got the gravelly rock and roll voice, right? Like a lion's roar of a voice.
Yeah.
How is it physiologically possible to have that voice and then to turn it off and have the smoothest voice as if your throat wasn't torn up? How is that possible?
I don't know. The vocals on Twilight Hours, like on Western Stars, are so beyond what we already knew he could do.
Right.
That he's been in our lives for over 50 years and he's still finding new angles. He's still working on new tricks to surprise us. Honestly, that's a sick man we're talking about.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how it's physically possible to have those two instruments inside one throat.
I think like a lot of people, I heard that song Sunday Love, which is from Twilight Hours. I heard that song and then I did a double take at my screen. I was like, I'm listening to the album, right? This is actually Bruce Springsteen, right? Yeah. This isn't like some lost Johnny Mathis outtake. That just,
it is amazing.
It's incredible. I love Western Hours. And to me, that is an album that I loved it at the time. It just gets better and better.
Western Stars,
yes.
Oh, no. I don't think Phil has ever given it a full listen, but we did a different Bruce-centric podcast like a year and a half ago. I think it's the album I listen to the most.
Wow.
And here's the thing. Like, I thought about it in terms of how different our tastes are.
Yeah.
Like, I know we both love The Rising, right?
Of course.
But my favorite song, I go back to in my phone, the song is like You're Missing. I want sad, heartbroken, after hours. It's sort of like the post-apocalyptic version of Sinatra on a saloon song. And you, I think, want The Rising instinctively.
I want to be uplifted, and no one uplifts me more than him. So when I listen, that's my dream. It doesn't mean I don't like the slower songs, and it doesn't mean I don't love an artist that I love trying on new clothes, which is what this is. I mean, there's so many changes of outfits, so to speak, on 7 albums worth right now that I think people should jump around and be dazzled by all the tracks.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun to jump around. The kind of fan I am, I like following these as albums just because he's always been so obsessed. He's always the guy who says, yes, I know this is a hit song. It doesn't fit on the album I'm crafting, so I'm going to leave it off the album.
Right.
He's honestly like a sick man that way. The fact that it can never be overstated that he had Darkness ready to go and he said, yeah, Fire, it's a guaranteed #1 hit. It's going to be my breakthrough song. It just doesn't fit my concept for the album.
It's unbelievable.
You could see the gray hairs he must have given people.
Maybe I know you like I thought I did. Maybe I don't know you. You lifted me up, you lifted me up, you lifted me up.
But Rob, it's so ironic you were saying this because I'm getting on a flight first nationally and then internationally in the next couple of days, and I can't wait to put together the perfect mixtape. And you wrote one of the great books of the last 20 years.
Thank you.
Love is a Mixtape. Life Lost in One Song at a Time. So I think of my mixtape as emotionally important. But I guess once this is maybe on Apple Music, I will be able to deal with the albums better than at the link. I literally am just trying to keep the music playing.
Absolutely. Well, and at a link, honestly, that's an inhuman way to listen to music, right?
Yes.
It's especially with an artist like this. With Springsteen, I love how you said it, Phil, that what he wants to do is uplift.
Yes.
And what we want from him is we want to hear him be into it.
Yes.
And time has shown that the audience, the people those of us who love him, will go a long way with him as long as we know for a fact that he's into it.
Yep.
We will trust that.
Yep.
Nebraska, it's hard to overstate how like freaky and abrasive and unpleasant that album sounded to people at the time. Now it's one of his most beloved
Genius.
albums.
Yeah.
At the time, it was an album that his biggest fans said, "What is he doing? Is he making fun of us? Is he just like flat out rejecting us?" But it was a hit anyway because people want to hear him be into it. And we've heard him sometimes in the 90s when he sounded a little half-hearted. He sounded like he wasn't into the album he was making at the time. And what I love about this is we hear him saying, look, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea. I haven't run it past a focus group.
He's
I
trying
don't care how it plays in Peoria. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so part of the fun is going with the crazy ideas. Honestly, the Mariachi album is one of the most insane ideas he's ever had. Anybody in his life who had any influence over him, which is clearly nobody, would have said, Bruce, maybe a mariachi album, maybe that isn't worth a few
wasn't
weeks.
it originally called Cultural Appropriation, the original working title?
Yes, exactly.
But an artist should be allowed to try stuff on. And that's what you're getting here. You know.
Oh, and by the way, I like it.
listeners-
I like it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I didn't think I would at all.
But you
love
don't have
that
to.
album.
But 7 albums at once. You don't have to like every song.
Exactly. And everybody's going to have...
You have a treasure trove. You find your treasure. You find the stuff that you like.
Yeah, and everybody's going to have different ones.
Yes.
So I love, David talking about making his mixtape from this because there is so much crazy stuff to choose from. And you could take, bits from, say, the mariachi album, bits from the Loops album, bits from the country album, say, okay, this is an album he could have made in 1996, but didn't. And yet part of, for me, the fun is this guy's always been obsessed with pacing an album, constructing an album as a statement. And he's totally happy to leave classic songs off it if it doesn't fit his concept for the album, which is so maddening, but also so inspiring. And to me, I love this box because it's easier when you're not going by the streams, but to go through it album by album and say, this is something he actually thought. It's so weird to think of, the mariachi album is something he was thinking about releasing in 1998. It's like, oh yeah, this would have been like, in the release schedule next to, Puffy and the Spice Girls and Hanson. And like, yeah, and here's Bruce Springsteen's mariachi album. I just love, we're getting to hear a sick mind at work, and I'm absolutely
the
100%.
other 6 albums are cover for that album.
Yes.
Well, by the way, you said the sick mind. I have the same sick mind in one way. He gave an interview. I don't know if it was in Rolling Stone, and I don't know if our friend Brian Hyatt is writing a book song by song of this tracks too. I hope he is. But he gave one interview where he said what I think about Born in the USA. He said basically, I don't really dig it as an album. I sort of don't like what I don't think I really got there with Born in the USA as a record, which it's my least favorite. I have to say, it's not one I go back to. I love it, but Downbound Train is my favorite song. Maybe I have that yearning for depressive, sad Bruce.
He likes depressed Bruce.
Were you shocked by what he said?
I was so shocked. He said that in Rolling Stone to your friend of mine, Andy Green.
Andy Green. He
That
said
he loves
he
hates the album.
that he's not really satisfied with it.
He said what he said was, it wasn't the album I envisioned. These were the songs I had at the time. The songs you had at that time.
Jesus.
Like
His biggest hit ever.
Like everybody had better songs somehow in 1984.
Right.
like these are your,
It's probably his commercial peak, right?
to see him like putting down this album. It was so upsetting and angering to me as someone who loves that album.
Yes.
Look, I was a teenager when that album came out.
Yes.
That was my first summer with the driver's license. I love that album.
I'll tell you what he doesn't love. This is why he doesn't love it. Because there's footage of him practicing dancing in front of the mirror.
Okay. I see that
album.
and I see that. To me, it was almost like, David, I know you remember this, the 1982 interview he did in Rolling Stone with James Henke, where he was very much leaning into his, okay, I'm done with the New Jersey 80s Springsteen thing. And he actually said being in New Jersey was like being Santa at the North Pole.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, I remember that Saturday afternoon, sitting in my kitchen, reading that interview and getting to that paragraph and thinking, oh my God, he is out to burn his bridges. He's basically said the most offensive thing he can think of. This is exactly his Plastic Ono band, like. I don't believe in Jersey. I don't believe in Clarence. I don't believe.
And the funny thing is, I'm from Jersey. I'm literally a Tenafly boy, and
You've mentioned that a time or two, David.
yes, I apologize.
Nobody would guess.
My
Nobody
wife
would
makes
guess.
fun of me for it, so I have to own it and embrace it. And in fact, we are finishing our lunch today of Jersey Mike's. This is as close as we can get in LA to the New Jersey experience. But I had forgotten that quote. And Jim Henke was my first boss. He brought me along with Jan Wenner to Rolling Stone. And I'm going to go back and read that interview. But by the way, for people who listen to our podcast, you should read Rolling Stone. It's very important in my life. I'm no longer writing for them unless they beg. But the writers that are there right now, and Rob is definitely one, and it's too dangerous for me to name the men and women who are now writing there. But there's a few of I think the best writing in music is far and away is going on at Rolling Stone. And it wasn't always true. Maybe when I was running it, it wasn't as great as it is right now. And Rob is one of the reasons. And I'm also, so thank you for all you do and for talking Bruce with us for a few minutes.
Thank you, Rob.
We all look up to you and idolize you, David. Thank you for always being the North Star to us.
Is that where Santa is? The North Star? North Pole. But in any case, thank you, Rob, and everyone. Read Rob, read Rolling Stone, and we're going to have to try to run this episode soon because it's going to take.
When do the 7 albums come out?
They come out Friday.
This Friday.
They come out in 2 days.
All right,
2 days.
Next week we can run this.
Yes.
Like 18 hours from now.
Well,
Wow.
And by the way, how long is this? 84 songs or something? It's 3.5 hours of music.
It's about 5 hours of music.
5 hours of music.
I think 331 minutes, if I'm counting right.
Do you think that he
Math is hard.
does the music a service or a disservice by releasing so many tracks at once?
It makes it harder. It's a more bloody-minded and stubborn and excessive statement, but that's clearly the kind of one he wanted to do. Honestly, he could have doled this out in the 90s when people were actually buying albums in stores with money and people guaranteed would have bought them. This is the way he wanted to do it. And again, I will go with him down that way. If he says to listen to this album, you have to walk down to this pier and be there at 4:45, and there's a ferry that will take you to the sub shop where they're playing this album in the basement. I will do that with him.
He should have done that.
But you and I know, we all know that the way people are going to consume this, for the most part, will be suddenly it'll all be on your iPhone, either on Spotify or iTunes. It's just all going to be there. Good luck to you.
Yeah, exactly. I am going to rip it and burn it onto a CD and put it on my CD player so I can tape it onto a cassette so I can listen to it on this thing. That's right, my Walkman.
Oh my God. You
This is how I like to listen to Springsteen. My Walkman and my boombox.
You can't go home again, my friend. You can't. You're
Rob
not going to
can.
be 15
Rob can.
again. I understand the desire. Just submit to the digital age. So much easier.
Well, Rob, it's so great to see you and to reconnect over Bruce. Bruce brings people together.
Yes.
He always does. He always does. Thank you for all you two do. Big fans.
Oh,
big
thank
fan,
you.
Big fan of
We're
you both.
fans of yours.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you so much.
A shadow touching your lips. It's the kisses of your cherub. And steer as we drove through town. You tassel my hair and say, son, take a good look around.
Naked Lunch is a podcast by Phil Rosenthal and David Wild. Theme song and music by Brad Paisley. Produced by Will Sterling and Ryan Tillotson. With video editing by Daniel Ferreira. And motion graphics by Ali Ahmed. Executive produced by Phil Rosenthal, David Wild, and our consulting journalist is Pamela Chellan. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend. But if you can't take my word for it, take Phil's.
And don't forget to leave a good rating and review. We like 5 stars, you know.
Thanks for listening to Naked Lunch, a Lucky Bastards production.